we probably should discuss maybe moving over to like Google Hangouts or something because Skype is just a garbage piece of software.
Maybe.
Like that's so much work.
I don't know.
Well, it's true that we haven't really discussed, our options in full.
Yeah, I guess we could, but not now.
But we won't.
It'll no, like send me something on like the Word Funk Skype message about not being on Skype, and we'll look into those. But like right now, it would take a while.
Yeah, it's too late to go back. This episode has started.
Yeah. No, we're in it now. We're in the shit. So
we're in it to win it.
So there's nothing to be done about that. Guys, have been thinking recently.
How's that been going?
It's okay. I don't know if we've ever talked about this movie before on this show. Have both of you guys seen American History X?
Yeah.
Yeah. Edward Norton. I mean, look, neo-Nazis are not my favorite people, but he still looks pretty good in that movie. Like, it's a complicated feeling he gives me.
Right. All right. Okay, I'm just making sure both of you have seen it. But for anyone in the audience who has not seen the film, I'll just recap. It'll take like 30 seconds. Edward Norton, as a young man, something bad happens to his father, and it makes him a Nazi. And Edward Norton is a Nazi now, and he shaves his head, and he has a lot of ink on him, and he does a lot of bad Nazi things. And then he sees a black man, and he's like, let's murder him in the most gruesome way possible. And then he does. And then he goes to jail, and he has bad times there, and he meets a black man, and he's like, wait a minute, I'm an asshole. And then he gets out of jail, and the colors change to show a change in his mood and outlook on the world. And then he gets out of jail, and he sees all the people who were in his life, and he's like, maybe you guys shouldn't be Nazis anymore, especially you, kid.
Edward Furlong.
Yeah, John Connor, why are you a Nazi now? I thought you were supposed to save the human race. But then some stuff happens, and it's over. Here's the thing.
I like the part where he's sad.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. There's a scene that I rather like in that film, and it is when Edward Norton, after he is done thinking about how bad of a person he is, takes off his shirt and looks in the mirror, and he sees that he has a lot of Nazi tattoos all over his body, including a big swastika.
And you always, every time I watch that movie, I know what's going to happen, but I always feel like he's just going to reach down and rip it off.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's the funny thing about the tattoo. I mean, it doesn't matter even if he gets laser surgery, because the whole point is that it's over his heart, and he has to carry who he was for the rest of his life. And I've been thinking lately, that's how I feel about my Batman tattoo.
Yeah, or you're like ashamed of the time when you were like, yeah, that crazy millionaire fascist guy was really important to me, but now I'm woke as fuck.
Yeah, everything. It's just, I just look in the mirror and I'm like, why? No, who was I? And anyway, it's exactly the same thing.
Like Edward Norton, though, were you like super jacked when you got the tattoo?
I was pretty excited about it. I mean, I wasn't not excited about it.
No, I mean, like physically. Were you like, because Edward Norton was pretty. He was pretty.
Yeah, Edward Norton worked
he got
out for the
swole,
role.
son.
That was the first time, like, between that and Fight Club, that was the first time I realized, like, men could be attractive. Like, it hadn't occurred to me before as a straight dude that I could, like, find them aesthetically pleasing. But I was like, no, Edward Norton's hot. Like, he just is.
No, he got in shape for that role. No, I've never been ripped ever. Like I used to have abs because I did like lots and lots of crunches every day because I just wanted to have abs. That lasted like a month, and then I was like, this is a lot of work, and
how many crunches did you do every day?
I don't remember, but it was enough that it made a difference, and I was like excited about it for like a month, and I'm like, this is a lot of work, and nobody's seeing me naked lately, so is this basically masturbation? Like, is this only for me?
the fitness rhetoric is always like, oh, I want to work out to feel better about myself. But Leon's like, no, I want people to see me. I want to be seen being in shape. It doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't. No, I'm sorry, but like looking good. I don't care if I think I look good because like what. My opinion will not change anything about my life. I mean, I'm not going to look at the mirror and be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get busy with me tonight.
Like, I'm gonna jerk off either way.
I'm saying that there's no end game to me looking hot. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me anymore. I mean, I want to look good now because I'm out there and I have to, look presentable. And I can't comb my hair, so I got to do the other thing. So that's a thing. But no, I don't like walk by myself in the mirror and be like, yeah, this is purely for everyone else. So
I think we've talked about this before on other shows. I don't know if it was BT Podcast or what, but like how I'm just not interested in like bodies or even like existing in a corporeal form. I just kind of wish we were all just energy clouds, because like there's nothing more boring than like, oh, I have to dress a certain way or I have to have certain muscle volume to find, approval or whatever. It's just so arbitrary and weird and cultural. But then I was dating a makeup artist and I was like, why do you like makeup? Like, it's just like the patriarchy. She's like, shut up. Just shut up. You're the worst. I hate you. And then she explained to me that's like, I do it for me. I like the way it makes me look. I like to express myself through it. It's art. Like, I am a canvas. And I was like, oh, I was a douchebag with all the words I just said. And
you can like, if that's your thing, then absolutely go for it. For me, I hate looking at myself in the mirror. So like working out is mostly like a practical application for the betterment of my life.
Yeah,
Does that make any sense?
It's good self-care. Like I walk, Johnny meditates. Like some people work out because it releases endorphins, and it's just like a good routine to get into for your like mental state. But if it doesn't do it for you, like, and you don't care how you look, whatever. Everyone's got to find their own shiz.
I care enough how I look because, like I said, I exist in the world, and I mean, but in terms of like how do I put this? I wear nice clothes, but my skin is like, it's like ew. It's like I don't care. I mean, I like for example, like I when I was at MagFest, I was like, oh, I'm meeting all my fans and my colleagues, and I wore nice clothes and suits and stuff like that, and like that works for me. But like how do I put this? That's good enough.
I like skin's hilarious. We're all just wrapped in like spongy, sweaty meat all the time.
Yeah, it's gross. I'm saying.
It's weird. Human bodies are weird.
That's why I feel more comfortable with a necktie on. I'm like, you can just be distracted by this. Maybe that'll just get attention away from my face, and then I'll feel better. I don't know. I'm not really sure I'm keeping any of this in.
Well, this is great. This is the most fun I've had all week.
I feel very vulnerable right now.
All I know is that whenever I walk by a mirror, the first thing that crosses my mind, the first thought is, yeah, that's right.
It's different.
Yeah, you're really good looking though. You're really good looking though. I look
you.
Like, you are. I mean, you are. I look like the default character on a creator wrestler. I do.
One of those faces that pops up when you just hit the randomize everything button.
No, not even randomized. Just the one before you start making it look like a person.
Oh.
I just have no hair and no like anything interesting about my face except I have one crooked tooth that people love talking about.
I think you have expressive eyes.
No, I do have big eyes. Let me rephrase that. My eyes, unfortunately, absorb significantly. How do I put this? Way more light than they should, according to all my optometrists. So my eyes
contain miniature black holes.
No, I'm saying because of that my eyes are always dilated. So and I have to squint sometimes because I'm absorbing way too much light. So when you say my eyes are expressive, thank you. People do say that, but it really just means I'm in a little bit of pain all the time. And my eyes are like bursting out. It's really hard driving sometimes, is what I'm saying. I have to have sunglasses at all times because if I look at the sun for even a second, it's bad.
I like that we had to, for like 3 minutes, discuss the 90s Edward Norton movie American History X just for you to say, I kind of regret my tattoo. Like, you couldn't have just said that sentence.
I wanted to have a little fun with it. It was a bit.
I know. I just thought it was funny. I do like that movie though. It's like
that is
really
sort of the point, Austin, that it was supposed to be funny.
Yeah, the idea is that it's like, never mind. I ruined it.
It's not our normal. It's not our normal strat. No, I just wanted to say that that movie is like a really simple morality play. It's like, turns out racism is bad. Like, it's a really obvious movie, but I still like it. Like, sometimes morality and like moral lessons don't have to be subtle. Like, sometimes you can just say the thing.
Well, here's the thing about like simple morality plays like that. They'll stop making them when people stop being assholes. And that's genuinely how I feel. Like I'm re-editing my Citizen Kane episode, and people say, "Oh yeah, obviously Citizen Kane, don't grow up to be a rich dick and treat everyone badly. Big deal." And it's like, yeah, but it's like, since they made that movie, people didn't just get the message and start not being assholes and like hoarding all their money. It's so these
in
stories,
fact, I believe one of the major scandals that we've had of just the last week, the Panama Papers, is like all about that.
Yeah, so I mean, they'll keep making movies like American History X until people stop being neo-Nazis. But that's still a thing.
I went to school with a neo-Nazi, right? I think I talked about that at least on Twitter.
I recall us at least having a conversation about it.
Yeah.
Tell me again, because I don't remember this from WordFunk, but go ahead.
I mean, there's not too much to it. I was just going down when I was at the charter school. There was just this kid who was nice to me, and he like taught me how to use like PowerPoint and stuff because I'd never had a computer before because I was so poor, and like he was just a cool dude. And then one day, like it just came up. He was just like, "Oh yeah, like I'm a white, supremacist or whatever." And I didn't really have too much understanding of what that meant, but I realized he was a bad guy. Like, oh, you're the villain.
And you knew that because of some morality play someone told you.
Basically, but it was one of the first time I was confronted with the fact that like there are good people with bad ideas, just as there are people who are the opposite. Like there's a lot of people who are like social justicey who are just like douche nozzles, and there's no not necessarily correlation between those things.
No, tactics. Tactics can be a very defining characteristic of whether or not I want to sit near you on the bus.
Do you guys want to talk about the Panama Papers? Is that like too crunchy, too numbery? Do people care?
People might care. I haven't read enough about it to contribute. But if you want to,
I fail to see what the revelatory part about it is. I mean, like oh my God, you mean rich people want to hold on to their money?
Yeah, I guess it's we already knew. It's just more proof about the growing income inequality thing. Basically, rich people keep getting richer and poor people keep getting poorer. There's no more middle class because of stuff like this, where people hide all their wealth in other countries. The thing that came out was like there's not so many Americans that are implicated in this stuff because it's so easy to create like shell corporations and tax havens and stuff that they to do it legally, legit above board to dodge taxes, that they don't have to resort to shady methods.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's already been like politicians in other countries who have like resigned because of these papers. But yeah, I mean, oof, guys, shit's falling apart out there.
Well, okay. you kind of have to give back. Like I'm a big supporter of Elizabeth Warren's idea that anybody who made it rich in this country and thinks that they did it all on their own is just flat out lying to themselves. Yeah. Because there's infrastructure there. There's an entire system created out of social cohesion, out of tax dollars, out of a contract that you have with the other citizens in your society, where it's like, okay, guys, we're all going to put a little bit into the pot here so that our bridges don't fall down.
That's the thing about the rhetoric around like socialism and communism is it's really a matter of PR. Like socialism has a bad rap because of things like the Soviet Union, but all it really means is sharing, and it's like we all share so that there are police. And like if you're a rich person in this country, you may have worked really hard, and I don't want to diminish that. Maybe you put in the fucking hours and you know what you're talking about and doing, and you've succeeded that way. But the reason I can't just come over to your house, murder you, and take your shit is because we've all chipped in to create systems that keep me from doing that.
Yeah, we all had a moment where we got together and said, "Hey, it might be a good idea if we had a group of people that, stop other people from lighting fire to your shit." And also, how do you guys feel about the internet?
Yeah, it's hard to talk about politics. I feel like we've taken such a hard stance in this show that we've already alienated everyone who disagrees with us. So that's probably it's. I like having a more even-handed exchange of ideas because I'm sure there are things that I believe wholeheartedly that are wrong. I'd like to learn that I'm wrong so I know better.
I have some very, very strong opinions about anime.
Johnny, anime isn't real. It just isn't. I'm sorry, Johnny. Anime isn't real. It's too late. You've lost that fight. But yeah, it sucks that there's no way to talk about, because what it comes down to is sharing. Like when you're a toddler, they teach you to share your toys, and capitalism is very anti-sharing. But to suggest that we share stuff is seen as like a radical political statement to take. Even though it seems like basic human decency, whatever.
In our country, anyway.
Whatever. We're just bleeding heart liberals, guys.
Yeah. Well,
Damn SJWs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's us.
Wait,
so
yeah,
I bought a very tight pair of pants recently.
This is the no segue, no transition episode. Johnny, tell us about your nut huggers. Can you see everything? Can you see the shaft and the glands and is it all there?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I'm obviously referring to a tweet that I released earlier today. He said. It was vetted through several people, and I had my proofreaders look at it. But
it was a stealth release. You didn't even do any PR for it.
No, but this was the thing, is that it was like I went and bought like a few new pairs of pants lately because I had some money left over from my birthday, and I bought this one pair of pants where I was like, whoa, these are kind of getting a little close. Like they hug my legs all the way down. They make my ass look fantastic.
Great.
So
we get it. You're hot, Johnny. Fuck.
No, but like that was why I bought these pants. And I was at work today, and I haven't been sleeping terribly well lately, because my mother was admitted to the ER on Saturday, late Saturday night. She suffers from a condition called diverticulitis, which, short version, basically is little pockets kind of get created in your intestinal lining, and small food particles when your diet hasn't been particularly healthy, or just sometimes it just happens. Small food particles like seeds, like raspberry seeds or strawberry seeds or sesame seeds or things like that, can get lodged in these pockets and don't process through your gastrointestinal tract as they should be, and then they just kind of like decay and become like bacteria party town, and you just sort of like slowly poison yourself from the inside out. Anyway, she had an acute attack of this, which is like lots of gastrointestinal pain, fever. It's kind of difficult to diagnose because it's just sort of like, my stomach hurts and I'm getting worse. Why? But she was admitted to the ER on Saturday for gastrointestinal pain, and she was like throwing up her meds when they first got her on antibiotics and things like that, and so I haven't been sleeping very well, and a side effect of that is that when I get really, really tired, I have a tendency to, like, non-voluntarily let myself relax in situations where I don't normally. So, like, at work, I will have moments, say, for example, where I might be normally up, about, and alert, where I just kind of involuntarily kind of go open up the blood vessels. And yeah, I discovered that these new pair of pants that I have, like, I didn't even have a halfie, but it was like everything was on full display, essentially.
I forgot this story was about the pants.
Yeah, you went like a serious medical thing, and I'm like, oh gosh, I mean, is this not going to be funny?
No,
and then it was.
Like I said, you know, I have not been sleeping particularly well lately, so my head is a little scattered, and I'm kind of going in several directions all at the one time. But yeah, I was just sitting down at work.
And you had a sleep boner,
and I had a sleep boner kind of pop up, and it wasn't even a full like raging boner. Like this was not a boner with designs. You know, it wasn't an ambitious boner even. You know, it was incidental, and I literally could not get up from my chair because it was on display. Like I've never in my life experienced a situation in which
you Johnny, you just, you know, you put something in front of it just for future reference, like when you have an erection and you have to conceal it from I know it's not like an obvious thing to say, but that's what you do. You take like a book or something, and you just kind of.
I just flip it up, like, into the waistband, like, into the belly button region.
I was trying to fiddle with it to sort of like, you know, is there something I can do? Can I like move it to a certain like angle? But it was just not happening. I've never had to deal with a tight pants situation like this. It was no, I mean
this is like we're adult men. What is this conversation? This is some middle school ass shit.
I know. This is the thing. I was actually like, I was really amused by myself because I'm like, this seems like it's a problem that I should have had before during the course of my life, but I'm in my mid-30s and I'm worried that other people are going to see the outline of my semi-rigid penis in my pants.
Boners are silly.
Johnny, can I just ask you something?
Yeah.
Were I to see your rigid boner through your tight pants, what? How do I put this? Would it be like a bad thing I'm looking at to the point that you would be embarrassed, or would it be more like I'm looking at it and I'm kind of impressed?
Not especially, you know. Like I don't have a remarkable penis.
What is happening? Look, you have good boner days and bad boner days. Like that's like hair. Sometimes you're feeling it, sometimes you're not.
I suppose so, you know. But like, what I'm trying to say is that I'm not swinging a length of PVC pipe or anything like that. Like
no. Look. I'm not talking necessarily about size. I'm talking about personality.
Like Tom Hardy and his awful penis, as we previously discussed.
Yeah. Oh, it's the worst. Oh my god.
I have a much more fetching penis than Tom Hardy's.
That's kind of what I want to know.
Yeah. No,
there's
it's a pretty textbook penis. Like if somebody decided to take a picture of it and then put it in a book somewhere, people would like turn to that page and be like, "Yep, that's a penis."
Okay.
In the Stephen King book Bag of Bones, there's a line about how there's nothing funnier than an aroused man. Like the whole thing is just ludicrous. Like even if you're into dudes, like, boners are just funny.
I'm not sure that's completely true. I'm of the general opinion that one of the funniest things in the world is seeing an otherwise capable adult, just for seemingly no reason whatsoever, fall over.
That's good too. I think it's an artistic overstatement, that line. But it just occurs to me that like even if you find men, like the male form, appealing, like it's still kind of goofy sometimes when these conversations come up. It's like it's just a weird thing. Is it cultural? Yeah. Is it like because we're all like Puritan Western people that we find boners funny, or
I don't know. Like any physiological action that can be accompanied by the sound effect boing is probably not too dignified.
Well, it's like that episode of Rick and Morty when they're in space and Gary has to have his penis removed, and an alien voiced by Werner Herzog says, "The Earth is just dominated by talk about penis. It's funny when they're small. It's funny when they're big. You put something in front of it and you're like, oh, I'm Mr. Penis such and such. And that's just part of our culture. And it's gross that it is, because it probably says a lot about, penis.
It's Freudian.
Penis dominate. I guess. Look, I don't know. Lately, I haven't had that particular problem, because I have to wear, for medical reasons, for like the past 6 weeks, I've been wearing like an athletic supporter.
Our audience is learning a lot about us this week. You're welcome.
Yeah.
/ I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just it's whatever. I don't care.
But yeah, just flip it up into the waistband is the takeaway from that story. Do you guys?
That sounds like it's look.
It's
Austin. Can I ask you something about that?
Sure.
Because I have I have a practical question about that.
Okay.
What if you're going up is what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
That's the Austin method right there.
What happens if your pants ride a little low? Then you're
Then everyone gets a peek show. I don't know.
Then your penis is like someone like with their hands on the windowsill, just kind of like peeking up into the window.
Then you charge admission.
It seems like a bad idea, especially during the day. Look.
And then if someone makes eye contact with your penis, you just look them straight in the eye and you say, "That'll be $5." And don't break eye contact until they get their wallet out.
I feel like that wouldn't work if the words followed words after "that'll be $5" are officer, but
That's why on the bottom of the shaft you have the words "You're welcome" tattooed. I find that very useful. It comes in handy in all situations.
Oh my god. So, this all really happened. By the way, hello everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I'm Leon Thomas. I'm joined by Austin Jersey and Johnny Maloney.
You're welcome, everybody.
I'm actually gonna leave this in at the 30-minute mark.
Oh yeah, that's way funnier.
Yeah. All right. So that's something that happened. Some of this is gonna get cut.
No, I will quit the show if you cut a single second of that.
Okay. Just no. Are there any topics you guys wanted to talk about this week? Besides our normal bullshit.
Have you heard that? Have you guys heard that your favorite movie is underperforming?
Oh yeah. I mentioned Batman earlier. That was supposed to be what that was about. But yeah, Batman v Superman. It had a record-setting opening for a Good Friday, and then a record drop for a superhero movie.
Yeah, the contentious week of that late March, everyone knows, is a fucking prime real estate.
Yeah, here's the thing. A lot of the reason that a movie like that does well on the first weekend is hype and ordering tickets beforehand.
Name recognition.
Yeah, that's it. But then, and sometimes a movie can be very bad and still, hang on to its audience. I mean, Transformers 4 was shit, but it made all the money. And,
2 through 4 were shit, and they all made money.
I think all of them are bad, but yeah, looking back, I'll still say the first one was the, quote unquote, best of the. Anyway, not the point.
With
the point
franchises
the least diseased.
The least diseased. But Batman v Superman, it was like there was like a hate flood for this, not just among the critics, although the critics have largely pooped on it.
But also from people who conscientiously refuse to pass any money to Zack Snyder's hands because they actually like superheroes.
That's fine. It has 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is actually not the worst thing it could be. And I mean, I don't just mean mathematically. There are several numbers below that. I mean, there are at this very moment movies in the theaters with worse Rotten Tomatoes scores, like The Boss and God's Not Dead 2 and Allegiant, the Divergent movie, and Meet the Blacks, all Oh, and My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 are all below Batman v Superman right now in terms of like critical acclaim. But this one is just hated by its fan base quite a bit.
There's a small vocal minority of people who think everyone else just doesn't understand its brilliance, but I think
no, that's fine.
Its Rotten Tomato score is pretty fair. It's like below average, but it's not like it doesn't rip your eyes out of it or your sockets. Like it's it is still a thing.
I don't know. My eyes hurt. But then again, that's medical. But anyway, yeah, it fell. I mean, we talked about Batman v Superman so much last week that we probably shouldn't get into it that much. But the long story short of this is, it'll probably still make its money back. But people are, the people who are investing in this thing are a little disappointed. And because of this, there's actually a lot of very expensive reshoots going on right now for Suicide Squad. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of like a three strikes you're out kind of guy with as it comes to the DC universe. I disliked Man of Steel. I disliked Batman v Superman. If Suicide Squad is good, I'll keep watching them. If it's bad, then I'm like, okay, I'm done now. There are a lot of other things I can do with my life.
The official line from DC is that the Suicide Squad reshoots are not because of Batman v Superman, but it's because of positive reaction to the trailer, which misrepresented Suicide Squad as being funny. Like, people like that, so they're trying to make it more like the trailer. I don't know if that's true or not. I do think it's a positive direction. But yeah, the actual takeaways from all these stats and stuff seems super obvious. Like, the movie could have just been Zack Snyder sitting in a chair giving the middle finger to a camera for 2.5 hours, and it still would have made a ton of money on its first week because of brand recognition and pre-sales and stuff. Like, that had no bearing on its quality. Its quality is reflected in the drop, and like all of that's totally kosher and understandable and makes sense, and like I could have called that from a mile away.
Which is why, of course, they've decided to double down and be like, nope, nothing's wrong, nope.
Batman v Superman could be Alfred the Butler taking a 2-hour-long dump on a saltine cracker, and people would still actually show up for it because it says Batman v Superman. But yeah, it's whatever.
I think that the last thing I'll say on it is I think DC being the darker and edgier alternative to Marvel is not a bad idea. It does distinguish them, but having a little bit more levity, like what they're apparently doing with Suicide Squad, seems like a smart tact. I don't know if it'll save that movie, but...
Here's the thing. I'm all for darker and more mature when it's done well, but this was just darker but immature. And that's sort of the issue. It's a very childlike. A reviewer, a film critic, put it better than I could when she said that it's like taking two toys and smashing them together, and like a Superman toy and a Batman toy, and calling that a movie.
That might have been more entertaining.
I actually watched that. That's funny. That's like a solid 5-minute YouTube video. That I would.
I think it depends on the actor. If you had Morgan Freeman doing it, I'm in.
Yeah. All right.
But if it's like Dax Shepard,
Take that, Dax Shepard.
Huge slam on Dax Shepard from out of nowhere. So
I got no problems with Dax Shepard. I don't know if I'd be feeling it.
Okay.
Have you guys been watching or playing anything? That's like the part of the show we usually do after the intro goofs.
I watched Deepan. It won the Palme d'Or at Cannes.
How do you pronounce that, Leon? Can you pronounce that again for me?
Deepan or Palme d'Or?
Yeah,
or Cannes.
Both.
They're all. I'm almost positive that's how you more or less how you pronounce them. I speak only rudimentary French, as we mentioned before, but I sometimes look up how to pronounce things just so I don't embarrass myself. Doesn't work all the time. It's like a 2 out of 3. Anyway, not the point. The point is, Deepan is about a couple, actually 3 immigrants from Sri Lanka who go to France, and their lives are hard. As you might expect, they are basically living under assumed identities and have to struggle with that. Solid movie. It won the big one. There was some sort of like a controversy about that because people were like, that's surprising. It was good, but was it really the best one there good? So I'm fine with it. Winning the big one. It's the film festival, the Cannes Film Festival. It's a very limited amount of movies that are competing for the big prize. So it's, even though it's sort of international film festival, it's not like there's hundreds upon hundreds of movies that they're going through that are in the film festival. It's highly selective. So, a movie that was good won a good award, and I'm fine with that. The movie that won just below that, like sort of like the second prize, if you will, the Grand Prix, is Son of Saul. Although in Hungarian, Saul is kind of pronounced like Saul, like that. I'm still saying it wrong, and I'm sorry. I don't speak Hungarian at all. That is a way better movie, and just a great movie in general. I thought that was excellent. So just two movies I want to recommend that you can sort of get them on Blu-ray in other countries and sort of like import them in and find a way to do subtitles, or you can just wait until they're on American Blu-ray, which will be soon. And that's it. That's what I wanted to say about movies that people should watch. I didn't even explain anything about Son of Saul. It is about someone during the Holocaust who is trying to bury a boy, and it's just gripping all the way through because of the way it is shot. And I don't really want to give anything more than that away, but it's just an incredible picture. And that's it.
Johnny, did you have any stuff you wanted to share?
I didn't really watch much this week. Got some X-Files in.
Okay.
I think I'm in the 5th season now.
Okay.
So I'm climbing past the halfway point. Finished a couple of video games at last.
Cool.
That was Assassin's Creed Unity and Mad Max. I finished both of those this past week, actually.
That sounds like a really mediocre video game time that you've been spending recently.
Wait,
it sort of was.
Was Assassin's Creed Unity patched to the point where it's okay now?
I had no problems with it.
Cool.
Zero problems with it.
I've been talking about this before.
Technically.
Yeah,
I should say.
Now that it's patched, it functions as intended. It's still like one of the worst AAA games ever made, but it's no longer buggy.
Yeah, it was not very impressive. I loved the environments and I loved the setting and things like that, but that's just kind of like, it's like that line that you read in reviews that say, if you like role-playing games, you'll love this, because it's a role-playing game. Historical fiction is my jam. I love historical fiction games.
Yeah.
But saying that, my favorite thing about Assassin's Creed Unity was wandering around the past is like, shut up.
There's this crazy fucking thing about reviewing video games where if you say shit about a functional video game, you're going to get attacked. Like, if you're like, oh, I didn't like this. This was below average. People will be like, it totally works. When you push the button, the guy stabs. How can you give it such a low score? Like, there's this crazy, floor on video game criticism where you have to give, a bunch of credit for it working. Unlike a film. No one will be ever like, the film, played on my DVD player, 6 out of 10. But video games get a crazy
the
pass.
rate at which the pictures produce themselves gave the illusion of movement.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so glad to be out of video games criticism.
Yeah,
I
don't really miss it.
We've talked about the cultural stuff that goes without saying. Being in the video game space is a goddamn nightmare right now. But just writing about video games, it's maybe this is too inside baseball, but there's a long history of art criticism. People have been writing about art and literature and stuff for hundreds and maybe thousands of years. You can go back and people fucking still talk about Chaucer and stuff, which is written in English that you can barely even understand. But people in video games seem to think they've invented criticism and they don't have even the slightest grasp of it. And it's so frustrating if you have any idea about the actual art of criticism. And, it's you have to constantly be on this 101 level when you're writing, and there's just not much to be gained there besides if you push the X button, you jump. If you push the B button, you shoot. And when you shoot the men, they fall down. 8 out of 10. and it's like
Yeah.
I just want to rip my own head off if I have to write another one of those.
When you press the jump button, the way the jump happens is very satisfying.
Yeah.
You know, or like when you run, it's very floaty. I was not too satisfied by it.
There's a very, very small scene of like video game writers who are working at a higher level. I think most notably Austin Walker over at Giant Bomb is just like fucking crushing it 24/7. So if you're interested in that stuff, definitely follow him and his work. But like, there's very few other people in the industry who are doing this heavy lifting. There were more, but they all escaped. They all jettisoned. And got
There's this guy I've been watching a lot of on YouTube lately named Noah Jave Caldwell, I think his name is. And he's probably the closest thing to like a video game archaeologist that I can think of. Like, he'll pick a subject. Like, the one that I just watched this weekend was like a 90-minute long YouTube video about the history of Wolfenstein. And it was just like so spot on, and he did all of his research and like stuff that I didn't think he would touch on, because there are just these like little weird idiosyncrasies about it that people just, you know, scrape by. But he's I've been really enjoying his stuff. Very, very thorough.
Yeah, I mean, historical stuff is another separate entity, and like I know Sarah, Pushing Up Roses, recently did a video about FMV actors from like the heyday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I saw that. It was good.
That video kind of went viral and stuff. Like, that's also interesting, just like the history of video games and preserving and like basically anthropology at this point of all this cool shit. I'm talking about more of like, you know, fucking Saussure and Derrida style like criticism. Like, let's break down the sign and the signifier of this, you know, formalism. And it's like, everyone who did that stuff escaped. Like, Lee Alexander quit the industry, like, because she was one of the only people. Like, there are other people, but they've mostly escaped the industry or just gone back to something more profitable to talk about. But I've been thinking about that a lot recently, because like my career path was like I was a writer, and then I was a games writer, and now I'm going to be a lawyer, and it seems like there's a disconnect there. Like, what is, like, I think the basic through line is reading, writing, interpretation, analysis. It's all very like English, like, is the umbrella, like liberal arts like realm, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of shared DNA.
But also something I had been thinking about earlier is what a lot of has to do with is rules. Like, there's rules in video games, like either the physics engine or the scoring system or whatever, and also law obviously has to do with rules. But it's also like sports, which is another thing I'm into a lot, which is like there's all these arcane rules. I don't know if you've ever tried to explain how American football works to somebody. It's like nearly impossible, because as much sense as it makes to you, it's like impenetrable from the outside. Also, religion, another thing I'm really interested in, is all about rules. Like, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. And if you listen to our other show, Dice Funk, you know that I went from, hey, I'm the person who's never played a tabletop game. I'm going to be like the insert character for new listeners. Oh, by the way, I'm now the person who knows most about the rules. like I am now the rules czar.
You actually read the books, basically.
Yeah. So that is like weirdly the through line of like all of my work, like professional and recreationally, is like rules for some reason. I didn't mean to. I didn't even realize it consciously until recently. But it's like I really like figuring out systems, pulling them apart, putting them back together, like remixing them, seeing what happens. And it sounds super boring to say it out loud, but I don't know. For whatever reason, that's how my brain works. I don't know. It doesn't seem like football has a logical crossover with being a lawyer or a video game player or a writer, but it's all very much tied up in like a logical way of thinking. I guess you could.
Sorry, were you?
No, I was just gonna say like, you could definitely like psychoanalyze that in a lot of interesting ways, but probably don't have time for that.
I did get an update on Saturday too regarding a very particular headset I've been waiting on.
The future is now.
It is, except the future is suffering apparently component shortages.
Oh, so you're not a cyborg yet?
Yeah. No, I'm not a cyborg yet. On Saturday, I got an email from Oculus, and it's not very long, so I'm just gonna go ahead and read this to you, okay?
Okay.
Hi, Johnny. We know you're anxious to receive your Oculus Rift and apologize for not updating your order status sooner. We've been working through an unexpected component shortage, and unfortunately, that issue has impacted the original shipping estimates for some early customers. We're working hard to get up-to-date ship windows, and you should expect to see your order status updated on Oculus.com by Tuesday, April 12th. Although many Rifts will be arriving on schedule and in line with original estimates, we'll be covering shipping and handling costs for all orders placed through today. So they've actually offered to cover shipping and handling completely for like every pre-order, according to Brendan Irib. I may be butchering that last name.
I bet Palmer Lucky's paying it out of pocket. Like he went and delivered the first Rift to that guy in Alaska.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe Palmer Lucky's going to show up at my doorstep and be like, "Yeah, I have to do all these now."
Aww.
But I don't know what that means though. I don't know if that means that it's shipping out on the 12th, or on the 12th they're going to get round to putting it together. In which case I can expect a longer delay. But sad.
No,
okay. I'm sorry.
I gotta wait like 6 days, you guys.
Yeah.
When you guys
6 days.
When you guys watch like futuristic like cyberpunk shit, like if you guys are playing Shadowrun or watching Blade Runner, did you ever think about how the future would look like that? But there would be all kinds of like bureaucracy and slow ass like infrastructure making all the cool tech shit take forever. Like
man, I've seen Brazil.
I've talked about this before. I'm glad that the future just turned out to be convenient and not like flying cars and shit. I like that everything is just a bunch of little rectangles that can do everything.
We've talked about flying cars before, right? Like how that's the dumbest idea that's ever existed.
It's impractical. Yeah. It's not impossible. It's just so impractical that it's not something we need to do right now at all.
Ever.
At all. maybe ever. We don't know what the future is going to look like, but we don't need flying cars right now because it's basically just a safety hazard, and there's a lot of laws and shit that will have to go into it that will make it very challenging, and it's just not worth it. And that's it.
Like I feel like you're understating it. If we're all in flying cars, literally any mechanical failure is an immediate life-threatening explosion situation. You're falling out of the sky.
There is that too. There are safety hazards, of course. All right.
But Austin, consider this, okay? Consider this, all right? Future Austin is headed off to his law practice in his flying car, okay?
Uh-huh.
Something goes wrong with the car, so he has to, like, bail out the window, all right?
Uh-huh.
Tugs on his parachute, comes smashing in through his office window in a parachute, dressed fully in a suit. Like, lands without a problem, because you've never had good luck with your fucking flying cars. You've had to parachute out, like, so many times. But that's okay, because it's a company car, and the insurance is covered. All right?
But now I've dropped a
feet
2,000...
Feet on the ground, and your assistant is like, Mr. Yorsky. And then you're just like, sorry I'm late, Dave. And then in the distance, you hear this exploding car hit the ground, and be like... had problems with traffic.
It's literally just making every commute into like a bomb threat. It's the worst idea. Flying cars should never exist. My favorite visions of the future are ones where there's like an incredible contrast in technology, like Turn A Gundam, which is like everything is pastoral and rural, and there's all like farmers and cows and shit, and then like there's some giant robots like walking around in the background and like tripping and being fucking nerds, because like everything's not gonna technologify at the same rate. And yes, technologify is a word I just made up, but you understand what I'm saying. Like it's not all gonna become Blade Runner overnight. Just the rich people are gonna become Blade Runner. The rest of us are gonna be like medieval forever because capitalism. No? Does that make any sense?
No. I mean, I understand what it is you're saying.
I hear you, homie.
Okay. Do we want to do the questions and then go?
Sure. I have questions.
All right.
I have so many questions.
I know you do. Let's see here. Ilmari Walker asks, favorite conspiracy theory? I'm really fond of chemtrails because of the ridiculous notion that they would be able to keep it quiet that they're loading planes full of chemicals and dumping them, as if like a pilot wouldn't immediately go and like cash in on that story. That's the thing I always say about like, oh, game reviewers are bought off. It's like, dog, if someone tried to bribe a game reviewer, they would just run the story, hey, Electronics Arts tried to bribe me, and that article's worth way more money.
You would get way more hits with that fucking article
Yep.
than the new Need for Speed is good.
So yeah, the idea they could keep that quiet is hilarious, but also like, so you don't believe in global warming, even though we're dumping hundreds of millions of pounds of poison into the air. But yeah, we're gonna kick some shit out the back of a plane and pacify the populace. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, what is the saturation rate of those mind control chemicals that a couple of two-prop planes are gonna? It's ridiculous and hilarious, and I love it. It betrays a total misunderstanding of science and human psychology and just like literally everything about the world.
Yeah. Mine is basically the Illuminati is in everything thing that goes on in the internet. The reason it pops up into my world is because I do film analysis, and I say, oh, look, that the director put that in that scene to signify blah, and the director made this color because that symbolizes blah, and that is part of my show. And every once in a while, someone will pop up into my comment section or my Twitter and say, yeah, and also the Illuminati, if you look at all these videos, there are triangles. Look, there are triangles everywhere. I'm doing the episode I'm doing right now is Prisoners, and
Love that movie.
And in a very deliberate way, Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Detective Loki, has a lot of occult tattoos and things on his body, including a Freemason ring. Which it's not a it's like, oh, it's this movie is secretly made by the Freemasons. It's like, no, it's just it's like a subtle part of his character that suggests that his understanding of the world is different from the other character in which he is in conflict with. But that's not the point. The point is, I'm gonna have to mention that this guy is wearing a Freemason ring because he very clearly is. It's not like an Easter egg that's almost impossible to see. It's very clearly visible in a few different scenes. And I know as soon as I do, I'm going to get one of those guys to come in here and say the Freemasons and the Illuminati and the lizard people. You can all tell because if you pause things at this moment, you can see their eyes blink and their second eyes, and also triangles. Look, triangles are everywhere. It's not a big deal.
Here's the thing, like, okay, the Freemasons and like Illuminati groups and stuff existed, but they were just like rich white dudes having like private clubs to like talk about their boring shit.
The Freemasons are actual real people. I know a Freemason. He's a nice guy. The Freemasons are like a genuine thing where there are like chapters, and they're not up to no good. They're just a bunch of guys. It's not a big deal. The Illuminati was like barely a thing, and it is definitely not a thing.
But I'm saying, like, there were these real groups, right, that had, like, secret clubs or whatever, just like people have clubs because that's the thing humans do. And then in the 70s, there was these books written. They're comedy books. It's called the Illuminatus trilogy. You can just Google it. And it made up this whole, like, oh, the Illuminati are behind everything. Evil triangles. Like, it's a joke. Someone made it as a joke. And, like, now it's a thing people believe in. You can go to Amazon, buy the Illuminatus trilogy. Like, they're like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's not real.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a thing.
Lizard people.
Lizard people. Yeah, also lizard people.
Lizard people are my fucking favorite.
Yeah.
Lizard people are just like, I mean, you know, like whenever I come across any conspiracy theory, my favorite retort to it is, listen, back in the 1990s, two people were in arguably the most secure room in all of America. One of them sucked the other one's penis. And they couldn't keep that a secret.
Yeah, most conspiracy theories rely on this idea that people are either way, way, way more competent than they are because people are just clumsy idiots. But like, oh no, they're secretly these masterminds.
We're all dumbasses.
Or everyone else is so incompetent that a couple of shadowy figures can control everything without like immediately getting like overthrown by like people with guns.
Most people have trouble with breakfast in the morning.
Yeah. The first line in the Wikipedia entry for Illuminati is, the Illuminati is a name given to several groups, both real and fictitious. When people are talking about the Illuminati running the world, they're talking about the fictitious one. Mm-hmm. And I really feel like that needs to be explained. Just as Freemasonry is a real thing. There are like people who are just Freemasons, and they're just guys who shake your hands a funny way or something, and that's it. But the Freemasons are not like a diabolical cabal who are doing shit all over the world. They're
a bunch of guys who wanted to get together and talk real estate deals and drink beer away from the wife.
There's probably more to it than that, but yeah. And like I said, I know a guy who's a Freemason. He's a nice guy. We never talk about it. He just happens to be one. It just never really comes up. It is probably not that big of a deal to him any more than it is to me.
My old high school improv group probably had more secrecy going on. More like an intense drama and weird like subplots and shit like that.
Also, anyone can just call themselves the Illuminati. Like there's not like any like way to gatekeep that. Like me, you, we could
fuck it, Austin. Yeah. Cat's out of the bag. We're the Illuminati.
We're the Illuminati.
No one can tell us our Illuminati is less genuine than the other ones.
Austin, you need to say we're the Illuminati because Johnny and I did, and that will make it complete.
Oh, yeah, because there's three of us, and only I can complete the triangle. I have that power.
Right. Triangles are important. We made that clear earlier.
We are the Illuminati.
Boom. Done. Also, title.
Oh, I just wanted to say one more thing about chemtrails.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with, you are, Shin Megami Tensei?
I actually don't know anything about chemtrails. I know more about Shin Megami Tensei than I know about chemtrails, and I do not know anything about Shin Megami Tensei.
All right, real quick. It's a video game where all the characters are mythological and religious figures. That's all you need to know, really. Okay. So in one of the recent games, they added like a chemtrail monster, as I guess it's like kind of what's it like cryptids, like basically new. Folklore and stuff. Basically, it's like the modern equivalent of a lot of these creatures. I thought that was funny. Next question. What animal, this is Anthony Ames, what animal deserves a shot at being the dominant species on Earth should humanity die out without destroying the biome? So like if humans all disappeared, we all got raptured, like what animal would be next to...
Crows.
Crows, not ravens? Aren't ravens a lot bigger? I feel like...
Yeah, but crows are fucking smart.
Yeah, so I thought, like, ravens, crows...
And they swarm like a motherfucker.
What's the other one? Parrots? Aren't parrots really smart? They can, like, figure out puzzles? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
I think
maybe. I don't know any parrots, so... I know a couple of crows. Steve's a nice guy, but he hangs out with a bad crowd.
Who plays the crow in the second Crow? I know the original was Brandon Lee.
Yeah,
who died? But who's the other crow? I can't remember.
I genuinely don't know.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
I think he was a Latin American actor.
Crow 2.
We're all googling Crow 2. I love it.
Like,
except I know it was called
City of Angels.
Crow City of Angels.
Vincent Perez. Yeah.
See, that's
except by searching City of Angels, I got that wonderful testament of postmodern cinema, City of Angels, starring Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan.
Okay.
And I don't want the world to see me.
I would have went with the joke of naming the crows after that actor, but to that question, like, okay, Earth is 70% water, right? So I think the dominant species would probably be the smartest water animal, right? Octopi. That seems like what would be like the default dominant species, technically, yes? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how many? I mean, you're talking about like mass in terms of like the surface of the Earth. But are there way more octopi than there are, say, chimpanzees? Because I don't know what the stats are.
Oh, so it's a quantity over quality thing? Because then if it's number...
No. I'm saying that, like, if there's something just as smart on land, but there's way more of them.
Oh, you guys, I've got it.
What?
After humanity gets wiped out, the lizard people.
Actually,
it's true.
I think technically by biomass, it has to be ants, right? Aren't ants, like, in the majority of the Earth, like they're just in the Earth, like by the billions and billions, the trillions. I think they take up like a majority of the biomass technically.
You're making me very uncomfortable right now just
Why?
thinking about it.
Yeah, but ants are little bitches.
Yeah, I mean, you could step on them. You look, to be the dominant species on the planet, you have to have the numbers, you have to have the brains, and you have to not be a little bitch.
See,
It's true. Not being a little bitch is a really, really important part.
I mean,
I
ants
feel like it is.
Ants are smart enough to like do architecture, guys. They like build shit. They're pretty smart. I don't know.
But you can also step on them.
Yeah, that's sort of the issue.
I want to say sloths because I wish the world were just that chill, like just being fucking cool for 5 seconds. Just be cool, world. Hang out in a tree and eat leaves. But no, they would get stepped on immediately.
Yeah, sloths would probably get their asses kicked.
Maybe dogs or cats, because they're predators. There's a lot of them. They're relatively smart, and I think after like a generation of humans being gone, they would like adapt and be more feral and competitive. I feel like I'm the only one who's actually trying to answer this question.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I guess I didn't have an answer.
Yeah, you guys have just been naysaying mine.
I'm pretty honest to God, I'm pretty comfortable with saying that it might wind up being a scavenger bird or something.
Okay. I saw 5 vultures eat a deer the other day, and no one was doing anything about it. It was just happening on the side of the road. It was gross. And I had to drive by that road a few different times that day. And by the end of the day, it was just skin. So that was my day. It was just gross the whole day through. So
the thing about birds is they've sort of got like the sky locked down.
Oh yeah.
And they're
Wait a minute.
They're like
wait a minute.
Think you got me? No, you don't. Bye, sucker.
They're also very adaptable because they're what dinosaurs turned into. So they've been here for longer than everyone else, basically.
Sure, if you believe Dr. Alan
apart from
Grant.
insects, but
and we've already established that the devil put dinosaur bones in the ground to test us, and maybe that's why we all got wiped out, is because we failed God's test, and we believed in dinosaurs. We're building lore. Next,
I prefer to think, gentlemen, that it's probably because our sinister machinations for like a super future.
Yeah.
Didn't pan out so well.
Well, yeah, because the Illuminati's chemtrails poisoned us all.
I only just now learned what chemtrails mean, because this is literally a new conspiracy theory for me. For anyone listening who is also like me and completely in the dark, it's what people think those lines behind planes are. Their mind control stuff. I literally, this is not one that entered into my world until you just told me about it. Because I don't know. It just never pops up on my Twitter. So why would I know about it?
You're looking at the wrong YouTube conspiracy videos, Leon. You need to wake up, sheeple.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, nope, that's the answer. Sheeple. They would take over the world once we're gone.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Next.
We
gotta go soon.
Yeah, I know. Here's 2 quick questions I can answer in like 1 sentence. Jade asks, why is Kiss from a Rose the closing song? There's actually an episode of Wordfunk called Kiss from a Rose where you tell that story.
It's actually not their fault at all, because literally the episode Kiss from a Rose isn't up yet again. Because I'm slowly rebuilding all this, and everyone should know why by now.
Also, even if they all were out, that's 103 hours to get through, which is no small feat. The other one was any updates on the second podcast. If you don't know what that is, I hit a Patreon goal, so we're going to start another podcast. I want it to be up as soon as possible, but we're still trying to schedule it. So hopefully, by the time you're hearing this, any day. So it'll be a video game focused thing I'm doing with other people, not Leon, definitely. Yeah, but
definitely not.
I have lots of thoughts about Final Fantasy 15, about Dark Souls. There's all kinds of stuff that I want to talk about, but not for this show anymore. This is a video game free show.
And I just want more time to talk about dicks.
Wait, is the show all about video games and dicks?
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, those are the only 2 topics. Okay, I didn't know. So it's just, is it going to be called video games and dicks, or do you have something better?
We're still.
Or is it just? You're workshopping.
Austin doesn't like any of my
We're
titles.
still workshopping the name. Can I give you, Johnny? Do you want to read them? Because they're all your suggestions. You want to read yours?
You want to read some of my titles? Okay,
no, wait,
all right.
I can be an objective outsider on this because I'm the only one of the three of us who's not going to be involved. So maybe I can help as just like a third party.
All right. So far I got Lasercast.
What?
Lasercast.
I told you they're all real bad.
Yeah. Explodey games that make us feel strange.
These are all like stoner band names.
My mom thinks I'm cool.
That's
That
not
was the
even
best.
real.
That's the best one so far.
Splutterhouse.
I'm looking at the list because
The collection.
it's this Skype chat we're in, and he's listed them all here, and none of them are good. I'm sorry.
Keep going.
We've learned how to shave.
No.
These are all very Johnny names.
And my favorite, this is my favorite.
Okay.
Cheetos Dust, the motion picture.
I have a theory that he was fucking wasted when he said all these.
All of these are great, but none of them make sense as a podcast name unless Lasercast has 3 Z's and you have to make like the banner like sort of like neon pink.
And every time we say Lasercast, we get a sound effect that goes.
Oh, absolutely. That one so far is the only one that's usable. Awesome. What are yours?
I didn't have any because I want a good one.
So you're just gonna propose nothing and hope it sticks?
Now,
yeah, you see, like I'm just throwing ideas out there, hoping that lightning's gonna strike.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna get any writing done, you gotta get it done and then edit. You don't just wait for inspiration to hit, or you're gonna be like partway through your magnum opus for the rest of your life.
we have
You gotta
different
jump in.
processes. Our writing processes are different, Johnny. We just have to agree to disagree.
Austin, any action is better than no action at this point.
Not true. Really, I'm just waiting for us to schedule this. I want to do it as soon as possible. We'll figure out a name, but hopefully next week or sooner. I don't know. I'm also hopefully trying to do more music articles, which will be on my Patreon as well, in addition to Dice Funk and stuff. So,
All right.
I got a lot of stuff going
before
on.
we go.
What were you saying, Leon?
One last question before we go.
All right. Robert Paulson asks, if you took all the gods from all the religions and put them on a reality show, which one would get voted off first? I think that depends on the style of reality show, wouldn't it? Like, because if it was like Survivor, it would be like the one least equipped to do Survivor shit. It'd be like a someone who couldn't start a campfire. But if it was like a dating show, it'd be like whichever the ugliest one is, right?
Odin.
Well, I think the eye patch is hot. You can make it work for him.
But he's also old, you know.
He's very daddy. He's daddy as fuck.
He really is. He's like, hey, baby, do you want to go back to my place where I'll transform into a ox?
Here's the thing about that. He would have a lot of friends in that house because there are a lot of gods who are creeps.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, you got to pick someone. You got to pick the one god who would get voted off is the one that's the most dissimilar to all the other ones.
Momus.
Malmus? It doesn't spark anything. Who's that?
No, Momus. Momus.
Okay.
Momus was a Greek god. The personification of satire and mockery.
Everyone would be just fucking tired of his jester bullshit.
Oh yeah, you know, like people would be having conversations, and then he would just show up and be like, everybody would be like, "Momus, what are you doing?" He'd be like, "Momus, what are you doing?" He'd be like, "Fuck, I hate that guy."
That's really good. I don't think I can beat that.
Yeah, let's say Momus. I'm good with that. All right, anything you guys want to say before we go?
They added The Princess Bride to Netflix, and besides the fact that that's like a classic, brilliant movie, and I love it, and I watched it again, it also made me think, because when we started Dice Funk, I was like, oh, what kind of tone are we aiming for? And I was like, something like Steven Universe or Adventure Time, and like Johnny didn't know what that meant, and I bet a lot of our listeners didn't, but like The Princess Bride is what I'm looking for, like mostly slapstick comedy, but also people get tortured and stabbed and shit, and like it goes places, like it can be dark, but it's mostly a comedy. I feel like that's That's the thing I was looking for, and I couldn't think of, but now it's in my mind. God, that's a good movie.
Yeah, me and Jess and Darren actually went to the theater and got to see it on the big screen a few months ago. So it is something that everyone needs to see.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny, anything you want to say before we go?
I was just going to say, don't tug on your short hairs too hard, everybody.
Johnny, what am I going to do with you?
Well, not too hard, but maybe a little.